We're back with another episode of the Love Marriage Fantasy Podcast. Once again, I am your co-host, Anton Leonard Claiborne. I am your certified marriage facilitator, your relationship intimacy advisor, and your global relationship strategist. Here with me, once again, is the Mrs.
Hello, everyone. I am Coach Star Claiborne. I am your love, life, and confidence coach. I am your pure romance consultant, helping you to enhance your bedroom life. I am your author and global relationship strategist as well. Today, we are introducing to you a wonderful woman, wonderful woman who is ready to talk to us about sexual confidence Part 2. So if you've been following us, then you know we've had a part 1. Now it's time for part 2. So, Karl May, we are going to turn this over and let you introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Karl May. I'm the author of The Unveiling of a Mask. So what else do y'all want me to say about myself? Because I don't do much anymore.
All right, no problem. You are the author of Unveiling a Mask, and we'll probably ask you a little bit about that book too. But so I made a post on my social media, and on that post, it was very surprising that only 2 women responded. And I'm sure there are a lot of reasons behind why women didn't respond. Either they have the confidence and they're afraid to tell someone because of the way they're going to look by society, or they really don't have the confidence and still don't want to tell anyone. So you were one that actually said that you are a sexually confident woman. What prompted you? What was the first thing that came to your mind when I asked that question?
Well, I've always been very confident, but one of the reasons why I did respond was because I did see that not many people were responding. So that led me to say, well, maybe they're waiting for someone else to respond and then they will respond, because a lot of times that's how it goes. If someone else say, I'm okay with it, then other people jump in. So that was one of the reasons why I did. But I've always been sexually confident in whatever size or age I've been in, because that's just part of being a woman to me. And a confident woman, I say that I am very confident in myself.
Right.
So what exactly is sexual confidence to you? What does that look like to you personally?
So it looks like to me that when I'm saying that to my partner is to my husband is that I'm saying I want to be whatever you want me to be. I'm willing to explore some of the things that I may not be used to. I want to explore some of those things to you. When I'm talking to other women, I am saying that I am confident who I am, whether I'm thin, whether I'm middle size, whether I'm big like I am now. I am confident, and I still enjoy making love to my husband, and I still want him to see me as that sexy wife that he always had.
Right. All that sounds great. So that leads me up to this question I said I was going to ask you about your beautiful red lipstick, right? So on the date nights, because I'm sure you and your husband, you continue to have your date nights during this COVID pandemic thing, this lockdown, right? You didn't consider wearing lipstick on the date nights?
For one thing, lipstick is my all makeup, so I'm not a big makeup wearer.
Okay.
So if I put lipstick on, I'm really dressed up then. And as I've said, because I don't really dress up a lot for, since we've been home with this COVID thing, no, I never decided to look, because I love natural beauty. So I know I'm beautiful however I am. Like me, when I dress up, I like to wear my hair up. But one of the things that my husband likes is for my hair to be down. And so that's one of the things that I'll do. I'll take it out of my knot or whatever, and I'll wear it down without lipstick on, because the lipstick is not important to him. He loves for my hair to be down so he can rub his hands through it and stuff like that. So that's more important to him, which I love, because the lipstick is not a big deal for me.
Oh, okay. I thought he may have been a fan of the lipstick.
That's my dress up for real there.
Oh, okay.
I may not put anything else on but the lipstick, but we're good there.
All right. Well, you mentioned something about your hair, and I think a lot of women they have forgotten that their hair. Well, not that they've forgotten, but I think they don't think about how their hair can enhance their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that? That the hair can add to a woman's sexuality?
And through my husband's eyes, I do. I don't. I think I'm sexy whether I have it up or down. But I'm one of those people who cut all of their hair off nearly every 5 years.
Oh,
And I can
okay.
see the difference every 5 years. I go through midlife changes. But I see the difference in the way he look at me and the way he react to me. I know he really does love long hair. Like now I'm having that itch to have it cut because it's been a while. And we've had those conversations that, I love his beard, right? So we're having a conversation, if you cut your hair, I'm cutting my beard. So I'm like, now, is it worth it? Because I really like the beard.
He's giving you something to consider, huh?
Right. So I'm still holding on to the hair, which to me, not looking through my eyes, it's ridiculous because I never wear my hair down. I always have it up. So I'm like, you really don't really see it that often anyhow. So what's the big deal? But through his eyes, I'm much more sexy, whether I'm small or little, small or big. I'm much more sexier when I have long hair. That's just what he loves.
Well, let me comment on that for a moment, because ladies, now I want you to listen to what I'm saying. As a man, when we see you do something different, when we see you do something you don't normally do, it piques our interest. It makes us look at you different. So, Kayl, when your husband sees you with your hair down after seeing you wearing it up for maybe 2-3 weeks, then all of a sudden, bam, you wearing it down. He's like, yeah, it's gonna be on tonight.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, so you're always wearing it back. Of course, that's something new and different for him to see. So that's probably what it is. That he's like, okay, I haven't seen this in a while.
And it don't even have to be like done or anything. He loves the wild look. I can just, like I just, washed it this morning, so I can take it down and let it air dry, and it's poofed. And he's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, my hair is free, it's all over my head. What are we talking about? Or I'll wake up in the morning with my hair over my face, and he loves that. So I try to do it for him because I'm looking through his eyes, because he don't ask for much. I ask for a lot more than he do, but that's one of the things that he do ask me not to cut my hair. So that's what I try not to do sometimes.
Okay. Wow. So basically, when it comes to that sexual confidence, a lot of times you're trying to think about what it is that he wants to see.
Yes. And I think that's what we have to do. Even when we're not comfortable in our own bodies, we have to look at what they like. Now, when I first gained weight, I gained weight right after our first son. So we were very young when I gained my weight and stuff. So of course, my mom was big when I was coming up. And to me, she was always a firecracker. She was always that person that slept in her lingerie, and she was always beautiful at night and those type things. So I had that to look back on and know that's what I should do. But I think when I first gained the weight, you're like, how is he going to feel about me? So he started saying things like, I had my butt was smiling at him, and I'm like, what is this crazy man talking about? And he was actually talking about, the little humps that we have in our butts, right? So I'm like, is it whatever he made up? I just rock along with it, because he must like it, or that's the way that he have programmed his mind to say, I got to find my wife sexy. So this is the way he used that to do. And he always, I guess I've been blessed in this standpoint that even if I've ever felt unsure about myself or uncomfortable about myself, which is rare because I have a very high self-confidence, he's always been there right there saying how beautiful I am or how good I look in this, or, he's always been there doing what his job is to do, to always lift me up in some type of way. And I think that's important.
That is very important. That is very important, because I think as women, we always get to those points in our life where we're like, okay, we're criticizing ourselves to a certain extent. And like you said, you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I know my hair is just really not doing what it's supposed to do, but okay, I guess if you like it, then I guess we're gonna roll with this.
So sometimes I just do it just because.
And I think sometimes we just overthink the process too much.
Exactly.
And we want to be so perfect that sometimes being too perfect is not really what I guess they're looking for.
Exactly. And I think that's so important, because I've had associates that I've known throughout the years, especially someone who gained weight, and they'll say that, they have boyfriends or whatever, and they'll say, I've been with this person for a year, but they've never seen me naked before.
I've heard women say that.
What?
Say that. Yeah.
Okay.
You go to bed with this person and they've never seen you, have the most intimate thing that you can do with a person, but they've never seen you naked before. Wow. There will be no way possible that I can lay up with somebody or have sex with somebody, make love, whatever you want to call it, and they not be able to see me. Because you have to see me, right? Because you have to.
Yeah.
The same way I look at night is the same way I look in the daytime. Or they'll say, well, I've never had sex with anyone in the daytime because I don't want them to see my body.
Yeah, I think that is an issue. But I think, like you said, having our partner to even reiterate things to us is good too, because when we get to those points, sometimes we do need to feel like, okay, do you still see me this way? Because I'm on the fence a little bit here, and sometimes we're thinking we need to do a certain thing, but they're thinking we don't, and we're just overthinking the process, unfortunately. So having these men like him and yours, it helps.
We were blessed in that way, yes.
Yeah. But I think men need to understand how important that is, because there are a lot of men, the reason a lot of women are like they are with other men is because the other men before them have torn them down so much that now that's what they expect.
True.
And they haven't been able to find their own self-confidence. So whenever a man can compliment a woman, I think that's like super important. Not that she should be looking for that in him, of course, but it does help with the process.
I think that's extremely important. Men have to remember how women respond, because we're not listening to what you say most of the time. I know with Paul, he's always going to say, oh, you beautiful, you this, you're that. Everything is always going to be good and positive. That's just the type of person he is. So I'm looking, when I walk in the room, his expression. I'm looking to see how you're really going to react. And I do that with my sons too, especially my youngest son, because men talk with their eyes a lot more than they think that they're talking, speaking through. So I'm looking at their reaction more so than anything. So men have to understand that they have to keep their reactions, even if it's something you can talk about later on, but to not put your woman down, to look at the reactions or pay attention to your reactions to them. But as a woman, I think it's important for you to know your worth. I believe strongly in anyone knowing their own worth. So sometimes if my husband tells me he likes something, I go and look in the mirror at myself.
That's right.
And I want to see how I feel about it my own self. And though he may say he like it, I may not like it, and I'll still change or whatever. Like now, it's time for me, for health reasons, to go on a weight loss journey. Well, I don't want to go on a diet, but I need to do some other things. So he's telling me, no, you're fine the way you are. I love you the way you are. And I do believe that, because we've gone through all the stages of weight since we've been together, the 34 years. But I can go and look in the mirror at myself and know what I need. I can listen to the doctor to know what I need. But I think as women, we need to go and, take our clothes off and look in the mirror, and not try to bypass the mirror, or not look in the mirror at yourself. Look and see who you are so you can be confident. Look and see. A lot of people say, and this is just after men, because I don't have what Star has in the behind, but in the hip. But some women are saying that, my butt is not big enough, so I need a bigger butt because this is what men like. Well, you don't know. Every man don't like the same thing. I've never had a butt. My husband's not a butt person. He's more of a breast person. So what I've learned to do over the years is enhance my breasts, because that's what's most important to him. It may not be what's most important to me, but thinking about what he likes, being secure in myself, and finding out how to accentuate what he likes and what I like and put it together. I think that's important in a relationship, and being confident in yourself.
Oh yeah,
it absolutely is. And you made a really good point in as far as you recognizing that your husband is a breast man, and so then you took it upon yourself to do things that would accentuate your breast. You didn't just take that knowledge of that he's a breast man and say, okay, well, he's a breast man, and maybe I don't have the size that he wants, but as long as he likes it, I'm okay. And you just left it at that. You did something to make it look or make your breasts look even better, make them look even more pleasing to him.
Right.
And I'm sure he appreciated that.
That's the most important thing, is a good bra and a pretty bra, because I know that's important to him. So I'll spend that money on that because I know he likes the way it looks in my clothes and stuff. That's important.
I think you just said something that was important, period, for women. Like, women do not invest in bras like they should, just in general. And I think if they did, they might be a lot more confident about themselves just from that one lift.
It's important, you know, when I first got on Periscope, it used to be this person who did speaking. She was called the bra coach, and she taught about intimates and how you wear your bras and lifting your breasts up. And you know, as we get older, we think that we shouldn't have our breasts lifted up because we're trying to look young and perky, but they're not young and perky anymore. But you want them to be lifted up so they can look, you know, make your clothes look better on you. They can be more slimming to you versus hanging down. Mm-hmm. You know, my mother was an evangelist, but she was a very dressy person for one thing, but she was a very sexual person too. She loved to feel sexy and dress sexy, which is unusual for an evangelist. But I've never seen her breasts hanging. She loved everything matching. So her bras, her panties, and she wore slips. Her slips and stuff all match. But her breasts were always up. She never wore the granny panties like I do sometimes. She always had the sexy panties and stuff on. You know, she wore the thongs and she wore the little French cuts and all this kind of stuff. So I think I got some of that from her as well, which I do it in my own way, of course. But I think having parents too who didn't hide things from you. Like, I knew that she loved lingerie. I knew that that's what she wore to bed every night. I knew that was important to her. I knew that it was important for her to feel sexy for herself, because my dad divorced when I got grown. They stayed together till I got grown, thank God. But even after she divorced, it was still important for her to remain sexy for herself every night. She would put her makeup on. She would do her face and stuff. So I had a role model when I was coming up of showing me how to be sexy at the same time.
That's awesome. Let me ask you about that role model that you mentioned. Do you think that there were other role models that you borrowed from other than your mother, or did all of your sexual influence come from your mom, or did most of it come from your mom?
A lot of it came from my mom. My mom was my fussing partner and my best friend at the same time.
All right.
She was very strict, so we always got into it. We have the same personality, so of course we clashed all the time. But she was also that mother that you could talk to about anything, sex, anything. It didn't matter. But I come from a line of very strong women. So my mom had 12 brothers and sisters, so I have a lot of aunts, and my dad had 10 brothers and sisters. So I have a lot of aunts. And I've seen all of them go through relationships and stuff. And I can tell you, some of my aunts, maybe one or two of them, really wouldn't talk about sex or whatever. But the majority of them, that's just a normal conversation.
That's right.
I mean, we can have a family, get together, and sex is going to come up somewhere, how to take care of your man, or, I'm sexy at my age, I'm still sexy, and girl, I can still do this and that. So I think my whole family was just a role model to me, because they're all so strong and they're not scared to discuss things with you. Even though my mom is gone now, if I was having an issue with something like that, I'm so comfortable to call either one of my aunts and they'll be able to discuss that with me.
So, Kayl, why do you think women or some women are uncomfortable discussing sex out and openly in public?
Because it has become such a, that's why I don't say, I'm very comfortable discussing it. But sometimes I don't say things that I want to say on social media and things, because people are so scared to talk about it, because it's like a taboo subject, It's like if you know someone in your family was getting molested, that's just not something you talk about. Sex is just not something you talk about. And one person put a post up, and she was having a problem in her marriage, and I was so excited for her because she wanted to find someone to give her some therapy. So I knew some people, and I, gave it, and I told her in her post that I was so proud that she was actually able to say that, because so many people would feel, they were worried about what other people say about them.
Right.
And I'm not concerned about other people because I know who I am. And I think we have to get away from that trying to be so, because all of us make love or have sex, or hopefully we do both of those, because it's two totally different things, or we do the F sometimes or whatever, hopefully they're all doing that because that's a part of a relationship, So there's nothing to be scared to talk about, but I think they are scared to talk about. And some people are scared to talk about some of the things that they do. And I learned early on that, I think I heard this from one of my aunts, you have to be everything to your husband. Me and my husband separated before because, you can't be this and you can't be that. Yeah, you can be everything to your husband. You can be everything that he needs. So there's nothing else that he needs to go outside and look for. Now, you have to be confident in doing that and not push it to where you don't want to go. But don't say just because I've been told in my past, or I've heard that I shouldn't do this or that I shouldn't. That's your husband. You can do whatever with him.
That's right.
And you should be everything to him. So I think it's just, we just get so scared to talk about stuff because we don't want to look a certain way in someone else's eyesight.
Worrying about what other people are going to think about you could cause you a lot of pain.
Exactly.
I did want to go into your book for a moment, okay? Because you mentioned you and your husband had separated for a short while, and I remember reading about that in your book. And guys, Kayl's book is a really good book to read if you want to know how to. I don't want to tell too much. I'll let you tell as much as you want, but it's a really good book to read if you want to know how to deal with a relationship with two headstrong people. Am I saying that correct, Kayl?
That is correct.
Two headstrong people in a relationship. If you're in one of those relationships, read Kayl's book. Okay, but Kayl, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned the separation. During that period, the two of you were separated. I don't remember reading this in the book, but were you dating anyone else?
I did.
Okay, so you were dating someone else.
Yes.
Did that person add to your sexual confidence in any way? Or did those people add to your sexual confidence in any way?
It was a person, and at that time, we actually separated because he committed adultery because I had gained weight. That was the excuse. And I had refused to lose weight at that time because we were working on getting back together, and I didn't want him to get back with me after I've lost weight and say, oh, that was the reason why. I didn't want to take the blame for that was the reason why, because that is not a good reason. I had to show him who I was. Who is the person that you fell in love with, whether I'm thin or whether I've gained weight? And first of all, I just gave you a child, Well, actually, we had given the second child at that time. So I don't think that person, because it never made me feel like that I wasn't good enough because I had gained weight. And I really didn't believe that that's the reason we separated. I did go have therapy because I wanted to, whatever it was, change in me that caused that. I wanted to take my part in it, which I never told him about that at the time. I wanted to take my part in what caused it. And now I say that my mother was an evangelist. My mother and father was married for 25 years. The best of friends, had been together since they was 11 and 16. She never taught me how to be a wife. She taught me how to be a very strong, headstrong woman, and that's where I get it from. And all of my aunts have taught me that. But if I wanted to keep my marriage, I had to learn how not to be that headstrong all the time. Now, it's still a struggle 34 years later, but I did recognize that. So I had to, if I wanted to make my marriage work after all of this has happened, I had to go get therapy to see where I added to that at. But I don't think that other person helped, because I always have known who I was. Affirmations wasn't out back then. We didn't call it affirmations, but my family made sure, all of the women in our family, even now the young people, they're very headstrong. They're very, they know who they are. The self-esteem is very high. So I don't think he helped, he added anything to it, but it's always nice when you've gone through something and someone else is attracted to you that makes you feel sexy again. So he may have reminded me, but I don't think it really helped me, because I already knew who I was.
Okay.
Right. And Paul never, even though he said that it was because I had gained weight, he never would tell me that I was unsexed or anything like that. We never missed out on sex or anything like that. So that's why I never took that into consideration, because we're both very sexually oriented. So we never had that problem before. So I never took that into consideration. That's what it really was. I think it was just being a man. And when a man gets attention, sometimes they don't know how to stop it. Now, once he lost his family, he knew how to stop it going forward from that. So I never have worried about that again happening.
Wow.
Wow. So the thing that you mentioned about doing different things to be everything that your husband needs, that reminded me of role playing in a relationship. Okay, have you experienced any role playing, or would you suggest it if you have experienced it?
We have never done role playing before. That's just not anything that he ever really brought up. He's very confident in who he is, but at the same time, he's kind of jealous. So he wouldn't want to see me even pretending I'm having sex with someone else besides him. So I've never really done the role play before, but there are other things in a relationship that we've done that some other people may not have done in their relationships, to try it out, to see how we like it or whatever. That type thing, but role playing we never have really done before.
Okay.
But you kept your options open, and I think that's in an open mind, and I think that's the important part. Again, just, you know, being very open to what your partner is expressing, or that you can see that may not be verbally being expressed, right?
Right.
So I think that's the important part there.
Yeah, you can
recognizing what he wants without him having to tell you what he wants. That's important. But I never saw that he wanted me to do that, even though, like, we've had someone, I've done a pure romance get together before with some of the ladies and stuff, and I went about all of this stuff, and I won some stuff, and we never even really used it.
What?
Because that wasn't something, but I bought it, so just in case we wanted to, it was there. You know, we used it like when we first got it, because it was exciting. Let's see how this goes or whatever. But we never had problems in that area, so it really didn't enhance anything for us. And so most of the time we never did even get it out anymore, you know. So those type of things are, but we did it to see, you know, because other people was doing it. Let us try and see if it's something that's going to add something to us, you know. And I hear about all these people who can't get orgasms and stuff going. Let me see if this is going to help us. Well, since we never had problems in that area, it didn't.
Right.
It didn't enhance anything.
Right.
But a lot of people, it does.
I think you made a really good point in saying it was something that you wanted to try, just to see if it would,
it would work.
Right. And everybody, I want you to keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with stepping outside of your comfort zone, especially when it comes to trying to figure out what you like, or trying to discover something that you may like.
Exactly.
When it comes to doing things like that, you must be willing to step outside of your comfort zone.
I think that's important because I am a Christian.
Go
But
ahead.
say, Star.
I was saying,
no, I was saying,
you like it.
Go ahead, Kayl. Go ahead.
Right. You don't know if you like it until you try. And that was the whole thing about it. We wanted to try it. because that's really our, back during that time, I thought that's our pure romance was about, was the sexual things. But listening to some of your videos now, I know some of the other stuff that is all about my body and stuff. I've learned a lot from, I know you probably think I don't listen a lot, but I really do. So I've learned a lot from that. But what I was going to say, that's so important, because I am a Christian. It's so important for Christian ladies to understand that, because a lot of times they're the ones who say, I don't want to try this or that, you know, because my husband may not like it. Well, you don't know what your husband is going to like. Your husband may be waiting for you to bring something like that up, you know, or your husband may be, you may be waiting for your husband to bring that up. So in a relationship, you don't worry about how the other person is going to react. It may be the same, you know, you try it, you don't like it. It's no big deal. You try it, you like it, you continue.
And let me say this about the Christian women, just now that I am a pure romance consultant, I think a lot of, again, the Christian women think that other people are looking at them and what they're doing, and they may feel some kind of way. I can guarantee, I know now because I am a consultant, I have many, many Christian women who purchase pure romance products because they understand that it is, I'm just going to say it's a natural part of life. I'm just saying.
It is.
Right? And so, yes, do I hear them say, well, you know, they don't want everybody to know what they're doing? Okay, they don't. But your sex life is not necessarily everybody's business anyway. You know, that's between you and your partner. So I want the Christian women to understand that just because you are a Christian woman doesn't mean that you cannot have other pleasures. And to enhance those pleasures, because there are, you know, they may say, oh, no Christian woman should do that, or I don't know any Christian women that do that. I do. I know
the marriage bed is never defiled, so you can do whatever you want in there. God has put you together so you can do whatever you want as husband and wife. Now, if you're just sleeping around, that's a different thing. But as husband and wife, you can do whatever you want to do in the bed. But I also think, even though you say that it's important for them to know that they don't have to really talk about, you know, it to anyone. I went to a church, or I still go to the church, to be honest with you. And I didn't know, for years, I've gone to this church. I didn't know who was married to who. Now that I was more active in the church, I'm realizing that this person was married to that person, and this is that person's husband, this is that person's wife. I don't ever see y'all even talking at church or holding hands, and I think as young Christians, when you come up in church, that's important. You're teaching me about marriage, but I don't even see any love in your relationship here in the church.
I think that's true, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking back to when I was in my church growing up. It wasn't until I was an adult when they started saying, oh, this person's husband, this happened with this person's husband. I was like, oh, married? I didn't know they were married.
For years,
they
were 30 years.
Because they were always separated in the church. One was over here, or maybe one was a deacon, and the wife stayed in the congregation, but you never saw them communicating. And so you just never knew. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You really don't see that except with the pastors.
Yeah, and I think that's important, especially when you have
some people who are not comfortable. I was saying there's still a lot of people who are still uncomfortable displaying affection in public. They're just uncomfortable doing it, and there's many reasons why. But one of the reasons is because they watch their parents do the same thing. Their parents didn't display affection in public, so as they grew up, they didn't do it either.
But did they see their family did they see their parents have a loving relationship at the same time?
That is a good question.
I saw my parents not have a loving relationship. They always stayed together. My father always took care of our family. But at the same time, I really didn't see the loving family. As friends, they loved one another like crazy. He took care of her to the day she died. But as a couple, I didn't see the love there that should have been seen there. If my dad had touched her outside of the home in a certain way, she would have reacted completely. He wouldn't have never done that because he just wasn't that type of person. But I can see if he ever even tried to do that, maybe pat her on her butt or something like that, she would have lost her mind. Me and Paul, we play like that all the time. You know, if we're in the store, this is his butt now. You know, this 34 years, it belongs to him. He can pat it wherever he wants to, or hug me, or we may, you know, be playing in a store or whatever. I'm not worried about what other people say or their reaction, because my body belongs to him and his body belongs to me. So if I want to squeeze his butt, that's fine. I'm not worried about what other people are saying. And I think we have to quit worrying about how other people see us, because other people don't care what you're doing, really.
No.
They don't really care about what you're doing.
True.
They have so much of their own business that they need to be tending to. You know, the only ones who really care or will gossip about your business if they're trying to overlook something in their own relationship.
That's true. That is
You
true.
know, I think that's important. You just not worry about what other people are saying.
That's true. So, ladies, keep in mind something that Kayl said as far as her and her husband being affectionate. It's okay for you to do those type of things in public if that's what you're comfortable doing. Now, of course, if you're uncomfortable doing that, don't do it. But if you're comfortable doing it, do it, and don't worry about what other people may say. Don't worry about what other people may think. I
think it adds funness.
Continuing the affection throughout the day is one way to let your partner know that you're thinking about them. You don't have to send a text message or call them. Just when you see them, if like Kayl said, if you just pat them on the butt, that lets them know you've been thinking about them.
Yeah.
If you just give them a kiss on the cheek without them asking, that lets them know you're thinking about them. So try to remember those. What were you gonna say, Kayl?
I just think it took, I guess, because the patting and all that, I think that's fun. First of all, it just brings that little childish back into you when you first start dating and things like that. But I also believe in the power of touch. I believe when you're touching one another, I believe something just flows through you and keep you connected. I know a lot of people don't like to touch at night when they're sleeping and stuff like that. But I'm a firm believer when you're touching one another. I can tell you when Paul don't touch me, my feet are going to go over and touch him, or my arm is going to touch him. It may not be a full ongoing hug, or it's just our backs are touching one another. I think that's important because it's something that just goes through you when you're touching one another. It just makes that love go through you. Just like after you made love, instead of going to sleep, you're just rubbing and caressing one another. What have already transpired, it just makes it feel that much better after you made love and you're rubbing on one another and you're touching on one another. I think a lot of people have gotten away from that touching. They just do what they need to do, and you go to bed and you turn away and stuff, and then you wake up just as mad the next morning. But when you're touching and feeling, it's hard to stay mad all the time with that person.
That is true. That is so true.
That touch, it adds another dimension to whatever it is that you all are experiencing at that moment.
Exactly, it does.
You know, one thing that we do is, and I know we don't always do it, but one thing that we do is when we give that morning kiss or that goodnight kiss, we make sure we touch one another, and that just adds to the whole experience. You know, I remember, I can't remember who said this, but some famous person said they never give a kiss without getting a hug at the same time. And I think that's an awesome idea. Like Kayl said, the touch really just changes the whole experience. It enhances it.
It does. Even when you're mad, and I think that really helps us because I stay mad a lot. Even when we're mad, because that's just me liking to have my way, I find myself still touching him at night because I'm so used to doing it. And I think that helps out the relationship. Absolutely. That it makes me want to open up the next day, you know, because I've touched him all night, and you can't stay mad with a person that you're sitting there trying to hug and stuff like that. So I think that all of those things makes a difference. It helps your relationships be stronger.
Yeah, yes, it does. You was gonna say something. I was talking.
No, I was relating to Kayl with the whole touch thing, because there's been multiple times that I can find myself like irritated or I can be frustrated, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what is it? Because no matter how much I'm frustrated, sometimes it's like I can't stay mad or upset because
but I think that's the love
to touch him. I want to touch him, but I don't want to touch him while I'm mad, so I got to get myself together.
But I think that really helps the relationship, because that's the difference in just being in love with someone. Someone that you just in love with, you don't necessarily have to touch or feel them. It doesn't draw you to that person. But a person that you're in love with, even when you're mad with them, you still want to be around them. You still want to touch them and things like that. But when you just love someone, they don't necessarily draw you to that person. So I think that it helps you emotionally get more connected to that person, because you didn't fall in love with them. Just like I think all the little playful things that you do, my sons used to hate it when they were coming. They said, y'all act like little teenagers. Stop that. Or, Pa would tell me what to wear, and why you letting her wear all this kind of stuff? They're very, male chauvinist, I tell them. But, they said, why you letting her wear that and all of this stuff? But I think it just brings in that little fun back in your relationship, and it pulls it from just loving a person to being in love, because that's two completely different things.
Yeah.
I can love someone, but I can love them from afar. I cannot be in love with that person and not want to be with that person. And I think in love, that touching and feeling, that being playful, it helps keep you in love. Being in love gets you over those humps that you need help getting over when the times get bad.
Yes, it does.
And I want to make point out something that you said earlier about the being upset and angry, and this is to the women. Like, I think we need to pay attention into what are we really frustrated, upset, irritated about, and is it really because we just did not get our way? And how many times have we gotten our way versus this time that we didn't get our way, but we just want to get irritated because we didn't get our way? Like, is it really that serious? And 9 times out of 10, it's just not that serious.
It's not that serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of times I have a relative who, when her and her husband was going through things, she would always say, I have to really be connected in order to make love to him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. And I'm saying, huh? So you're mad at him because he's done something. And so you're going to disappoint your body and not get what you need because you're mad with him? I'm not going to let anything disappoint my body. And first of all, once we make love or whatever, we see things in a different light. Like sometimes when you go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning, it looks different. Once you make love to that person or have sex or whatever, or just to get your stress off, because a lot of times when you're mad and you make love, it's just to get your stress off. But then it also opens you up to look at things differently as well. Because I'm not going to deny myself for something just because I'm mad at him. I still need to get what I need to get. And then we're going to look at things a little bit different, and that open things up. I think a lot of women, they like to hold that, and we like to, I hold it to play, to make him want it even more sometime. But I am not holding it because I'm mad with him. Right. We still need to get what we need to get because we're mad. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah.
And we need to stop holding that just because it's ours. It's not yours. It's it's yours together. What he has belonged to you and what you has belonged to him. And you still need to utilize it outside of those mad times. It's okay. Because it makes you look at everything a lot different instead of saying that, oh, this is the end of our marriage because I don't want to have sex with him and it's going to be months. Yeah, if you go without sex for months and he go without sex for months,
that is the end of your marriage.
Yeah.
Everything come past him as a buffet table. Yeah, because you ain't gave him none in months.
That's right.
That's great. And women too, the same way. Everything come towards us is a buffet table because we haven't had any in months and we need ours just like they do. So I'm like, that don't have anything. I had to tell her, that don't have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. It opens you up when you have sex and stuff. I mean, this is the same man you've been with for how long? And you're saying because y'all have an argument, you don't want no sex for months? Craziness. That's craziness.
That is craziness. But unfortunately, many women are taught that that's one way to control a man or to control their man is to deny him sex. That's not something that
way to lose your man.
It is. That's a good way to lose your man. And like Kayl said, he may tolerate what you're doing, but
Only
may
for so long.
right. He may
Right.
go after one of those buffets that's walking past him. So that's something.
Because you know they're out there and they're looking for him. No matter how he look, how he dressed, what kind of job he got, there's someone else out there paying attention to him. I used to tell people all the time, I never let Paul go anywhere hungry. I always make sure he's fed with dessert. And I'm not talking about food. Because I'm not going to be worried about what he's doing outside. If somebody else look at him, yeah, of course, all men like for women to look at them and see that they're attractive, make them feel good about themselves. I think that's just something in their crazy heads. But I'm not going to be worried about him really doing anything. Yeah, he may get some attention, but I'm not going to be worried about him going to bed with anyone. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I do what I do, and then I'm done with it. I don't worry about it once he go out in the street, because you have to have trust when they go out that nothing is going to happen, because without trust, you have no relationship.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And you made a really good point when you mentioned the part about him getting attention. Ladies, you have to remember, if you find your man attractive, there's other women who's going to find your man attractive. So when if you happen to notice another woman looking at your man, don't make an issue out of it. Just appreciate the fact that you have something that someone else wants, but it's yours. You got it. He's there with you.
I'll do this.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. I know what I got.
I mean, I do it all the time with Star. I do it all the time.
Exactly.
I watch. I see other guys looking at it. I just stand there and that's nice.
Yeah, it's mine though. Yeah.
So yeah, just stay calm and appreciate the fact that he's there with you.
Exactly. But some women, you know, they like to keep the man down, saying that if I dress him up, if I change him, you know, somebody else is going to want him. Somebody else is going to want that man regardless. It don't even matter. Somebody else is going to want that woman regardless. It doesn't matter how they look, how they dress, how big they are, how small they are. It doesn't matter. Somebody else is always wanting something else that you have. You just have to make sure you do what's necessary to make sure they come home with you, because you know this yours.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. It's a thing that will help you to have doing that will help you to have a happier relationship. It really will. You won't be stressed about the little things. And besides, if you are stressed, you can always just relieve yourself by around the sex.
Exactly. A lot of people don't understand that is truly a stress reliever. It really is.
Yes.
It really, a lot of people say, and as most of y'all know, that I stay in pain a lot. But when it comes to sex, something happens completely different. That back that was hurt, that I couldn't hardly walk, or those hips or those knees, things change when you begin to have sex. Like, you can bend them in ways that you couldn't hardly get up and stand up, but now you bend in all kind of ways and stuff. So sex not only changed the relationship, it helps your body and everything else too, your mind and soul. So sex is just good for all sort of things. So that's what they have to use them for.
Absolutely. There was a question I wanted to ask you. So in your book, I remember reading where you were saying that your husband was always a sharp dresser. Right? So, and I don't know if you can remember back that far, but when you met him and you saw him dressed to the T's, right? Was that something that attracted you?
Most definitely, because he was completely different than most men. Most boys back then were wearing like tennis shoes and sweatpants, but he wore dress. You know, he dressed up all the time. He was overdressed wherever he went. I think that was the first thing that attracted me. And he used to love to dance back then. He can't dance anymore, but he used to love to dance back then. He was in a dance group. And they just dressed totally different than the rest of the boys, and it helped that he the only one had a car as well. But he always dressed to a T. His mother was a single mother. Her husband died when Paul was 2. His dad died when he was 2. So he really didn't have a father around. He had an older brother, but he didn't have a father around. His mother knew how to sew. She was a seamstress and all of that. And Paul picked up a lot of that stuff. Back then, I didn't know that he was shopping at Goodwill and he was making his own clothes. They were completely look like better than, you know, most people. Even now when we go out, when we did go out places, a lot of people who we were around who were buying the name brand clothes and things, they would be asking him, where did he get his clothes from? It's something he may have gone and spent $5 or $10 for, and he'll rearrange the whole outfit. And it looked like he paid a lot of money for it, and he hadn't paid anything for it. Right. So I guess that's the gift that his mother gave him. First of all, how to iron, because he can iron like it's something that's come out of the cleaners, and how to change something to make it his own. And even though they didn't have a lot of money, he was better dressed than anybody that we knew at that time. So yes, that most definitely attracted me to him.
All right. All right.
Yep.
Did you ever tell him all of that? Like shortly after y'all met, did you tell him like it was the way he was dressed that was one of the reasons that attracted you?
Yes, actually, I don't know if you remember in the book, one of the things we almost broke up, or I tried to break up with him because I was a very casual dresser. My mom, as I said, she was always really, really dressy. I was a very casual dresser. I didn't like tennis shoes or anything like that, but they had the little Bobo tennis shoes on. You know, they had them in every color back then. Yeah. And they had the little capri shorts and stuff. So I would always wear stuff like that. And I always felt underdressed when we would go places because we always went everywhere together. And I felt underdressed all the time. And I told him, I said, you know, I just don't think that we're going to make it. I don't think that, you know, because we're two totally different people. Look how dressy you are. And I'm always underdressed. And he was like, I don't care anything about that. I care about you and I love you. I guess he could see from my mom. They say you always turn back into your mother that, you know, that I would be a dressy person one day. But it took years for me to be that dressy person. But we didn't break up that night. So yeah, I did tell him, but it almost broke up our relationship at the same time. What drew me to him almost broke us up from not being together.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So here you're now, you said 34 years y'all have been married?
Yes. 34? We've been together 34 years since I was 16 and he was 18.
Oh, wow. Okay, so 34 years, you're comfortable, your sexual confidence hasn't diminished in any way. What would you think, I mean, what do you think you could do that would make your husband say, wow, you are the, or has he already told you, you are the sexiest woman I've ever known? Has he ever said anything like that to you? I know he says that you're beautiful, but beautiful and sexy are two different things.
Yeah, he always said I'm sexy, especially when he's rubbing my flat butt.
What'd you say?
He always tell me how sexy I am when he's rubbing my butt. He thinks I have the softest butt ever. It's just flat as a pancake. And I always have been. And all the weight that I gained, none of it went back there. But always, since whether I was skinny, medium, or big, he always loved my butt. And so when he's squeezing, he always tell me how sexy I am. And I just be looking like, it's so flat. What are you even talking about? But now I've embraced it. I'd be like, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because a lot of men, they don't tell their women that they're sexy. They'll say beautiful, you're pretty, you're cute, but they rarely use the term sexy. So I think that's something that that women, you should listen out for. Try to pay attention to whether or not he's saying you're sexy. Because if he says it, he sees you as somebody that he would like to have sex with. He loves to have sex with. He sees you, and I know he look at it as a negative thing, but he sees you as a sex object. But if that's
I think one of the things more important.
Nothing wrong with him seeing you as a sex object.
What is that?
Right. I think one of the things that's even more important than them telling you that you're sexy, like I said, when he grabs my butt, I know that's what he's thinking. So when you're touching me in a certain way, when you're caressing me, I love to be caressed. I mean, you ain't got to do nothing for me. If you want to rub me all night long, that's like the best thing in the world for me.
Yeah.
I love to be rubbed and touched. I do. So if he's rubbing me, it can be rubbing my finger. That's just like the best thing in the world to me. He can do that all night long, and I'll never even move out that position because I don't want him to stop. That's just the way my body feels. So I think that even if you're not saying, it's just like you can say that you love a person so much that they get tired of hearing it. They're saying, you're not showing me. But I think if you're touching that person and you're caressing that person, they know, especially in certain areas, they know how you feel. I love when we're making love, and especially if we're making love from behind and he grabbed me a certain way, like on my hips, and it just makes me feel like I'm the most sexiest person in the world. Like I have that Coke bottle shape, and I don't know why that is, but that's how the inside of me feel. You better not say nothing. That's how the inside, he's standing at the door. That's how the inside of me feel. Like I feel so sexy when he do that, So I think it's when you touch, that brings it back to the touching. The touching brings out things that you may not be able to say, or that you want to say, or that you have forgotten to say. It brings that back to remembrance, because now when he said it so much, when he touched my butt, I know what it means. When he holds me in that position, I know what it means, that he feels like I'm sexy. I feel like I'm sexy. So what he's doing is helping our whole relationship. Yeah. So saying it is one thing, but showing it is different.
Oh, yes, saying it is one thing, showing it is different. But both of them help with the stability of the relationship, because
yep, they do.
As you all know, sometimes you just want to hear somebody say, "I love you."
Yep.
Exactly.
And so it would be okay just to hear somebody say, "You're sexy." Yeah. You might get
and that may be someone's love language too, that they like to hear.
A response that you would like. I'm sorry, what did you say, Kayl?
That may be someone's love language too, that they like to hear. Paul loves to hear me say, "Thank you for doing this," or "You cook very good," or "You look very good," or "You're very handsome. I love your beard," or "I love you." He loves to hear that. My love language is not that. Mm-hmm. If you just touching me, I already feel everything that you want to say. But his love language is, because I forget sometimes, I forget to tell him how much I appreciate it. I forget to tell him how good his food is when he cooks for me, because he's the cook for the family. I forget to tell him sometime. So then he have to ask 1,000 times. And I'm saying, like, it's getting on my nerves. I know you see me eating it, so it must be really good. But then I have to think about it, and I have to come back and say, "Baby, that was really good that you cooked. I really love that macaroni," because that's his love language. He loves to hear those things. If I see you eating, it must be good. I don't have to hear you say it. So that's the difference in not doing what I like, but doing actually what he likes to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I think is important. That took me years to learn, like probably 15, 20 years.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so and it's about time for us to start wrapping this up. So, Kayl, is there something you want to share with our audience? Maybe some tidbits of wisdom, or just some bits of knowledge that they could take with them after this podcast ends?
I think the main thing is just being confident in yourself. Don't worry about all the little, because we all have, I don't care how sexy you think another woman is, there's something she doesn't like about herself. Look at yourself and embrace what you do not like about yourself. Don't think about what you don't like about yourself, especially if that man is saying that your husband or your significant other is saying that they love that. It goes back to this, my butt smiling at my husband. I know it's called, what are those little things in your butt called? It's fat for one thing, but what is it called?
Booty dimples, or
the cellulite.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is, which is really not a good thing when we think about it, right? But he said that my cellulite was dimples. It's smiling at him. So I'm like, okay, it's smiling then. Okay, cheese. So we embrace that now. So something that I thought bad about myself was something that he was loving about me. So don't take something that, just because you don't like about yourself and your significant other say something good about it, take it and run with it. If you know they're breast people, fill up those breasts and make those look good, but don't hide everything else that you have. Because let me tell you, a man loves a woman
Mm-hmm.
And he loves a confident woman. I hear men all the time, oh, I wouldn't date her because she's too thin. I wouldn't date her because she's too big. I wouldn't date her because her butt's not big. I wouldn't date her because her breasts are not big or her breasts are too big. You know, vice versa. A man loves a woman, and you'll see them liking something or with someone that they told you they didn't like about that person.
Mm-hmm. That is true. We were just talking about that before we started the podcast. We was talking about why we tend to be with people who are outside of our preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll say, I prefer a dark-skinned person or a light-skinned person, but then you may end up marrying, if you like dark skin, you end up marrying the opposite. You end up marrying the
right
person.
Exactly. My mom used to have a friend who she married a younger man, and she would never cut. My mom wore blonde hair all her life, blonde wigs actually, and she was a browner skin. Her friend married a younger man, and she always said that her husband did not love blonde hair. Oh, I can't stand that blonde hair, so she wouldn't get her hair blonde. She found him cheating on her with a blonde-headed woman.
Wow.
So it's men love women, women love men. So all this other stuff that you're thinking about, embrace what you have and use what you have. Find out what he really likes, what he pays attention to. Not what he say to you, but what he's paying attention to you. Is he looking at your breast? Is he touching your breast more? Is he touching your butt more, your hips more? Is he looking at your hair when your hair is, how is he looking at you when your hair is down versus when your hair is up, short versus when it's long? If you want to keep his attention, your look is as much as about how he feels about it than how you feel about it. Because he's the one that has to look at it, right? So if he's telling you he don't like short hair, why would you go and get short hair unless y'all have worked out something like I'm trying to work out? But other than that, pay attention to what your man likes and be confident enough in yourself to use it and go and use it for your relationship. That's what I would say.
Yes, use it for your relationship. Because you know that's what your man likes. I like that.
Exactly.
All right, so
I just wanted to add one other thing in there that I wanted to just go back and reiterate, and that was the fact that, you know, a lot of your confidence came from what you saw your mom portray. And I think even with myself, you know, I've gone through that whole struggle of being a mom and how much do I show my kids and what are they thinking in their head? And, you know, coming out of that, I realized, and I think a lot of women, especially moms, need to realize that you really are, in essence, teaching your child how to be more confident, even though you think they seem another way. It may be, you know, so taboo, but it's really not taboo. It's really helping them at the end of the day. Because when you do leave it as a taboo subject, you're hurting them versus helping.
Exactly. Most definitely. That's what I said about my mom. She taught me so many things, but she really didn't teach me how to be a wife. A lot of times we think that kids are not paying attention anyhow, and they are. But what they're paying attention is the only thing that you're showing them. You're showing them that you are married, that you're taking care of the family, that you both work, and all of this stuff. You're teaching them that you fuss sometimes because they hear that even when you don't want them to hear, or they see the reactions on your face, but you're not showing them the love part of it. And that's the part they need so they can have healthy relationships as well. You know, you need to teach them, they need to see that you love one another. They need to see that you hug and you kiss. My youngest son couldn't stand it. Even now, sometimes he looks at us like we're crazy. But they need to see it so they can have those type of relationships too. And know that it's okay to hug and kiss one another, even after you've had a fuss or argument. It's okay for you to do that. And it's important that you do it in front of them to know that those arguments are not going to always last. That we are going to hug and kiss after. Yeah, we didn't get along for this few minutes, but after that, everything is good. And that's how we have to show them.
Yes, they need to see that because you are your child's first teacher.
Yeah,
exactly, in everything.
Set that example.
I can say that, you know, having right now, let's see, our daughter is about to be 10 and we have a 16-year-old, you know, always showing that affection we can see. Of course, the 10-year-old is still like, y'all shouldn't whine now, no, move, no, don't do that. But at the same time, she's slowly coming around to accepting that this is what it's supposed to be, and then having a conversation with the 16-year-old. you know, I don't even know if I told you about this, but a conversation a few months ago was, wow, like you all really have a really good relationship compared to other people that I see. And he was
Yep.
referring to other people in the family, you know, and so to
Mm-hmm.
see that showing, this is just proof that showing them as when they're younger, they're picking up on the things that help you to have healthy relationships.
That's right.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't think that when you're married and you are not getting along and you have problems in a relationship, that you're not supposed to show that to the children. You're only supposed to show the good part to them. Or some people think you're only supposed to show the bad part to them.
Right.
But how do they know? Oh, how do they know how to get over that hump if you don't show them both sides of it? Yes, a marriage is about arguments, so we're going to have those. We're not hiding those from you. But when we get over them, we're showing you how we got over them, and we're showing you that we're loving one another, that it's going to be some love and hate every now and then. If we don't show them that, when they get a relationship and they get into an argument, it's over with. Because they don't know how to tie it back to, it's an argument. Now let's get back to being together in a relationship or loving one another still in this relationship after the argument is over with. So those things are important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. It's
Mhm.
been a pleasure. It really has.
Absolutely.
You as well.
It's been a while since we've had a conversation. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Yes. I've enjoyed y'all as well. Thank you for having me on. Everything was nice.
Anytime.
We were looking forward to it. We really were. So
Well, good. Thank you. I was as well.
awesome. Where can our audience find you, Kayl, on social media if they would like to get some more advice from you?
I'm on all social medias, Instagram and Facebook are the two that I use the most, under Karl May, under both of them, KaylMay. And you can just go on there and you can find me. You'll see me and my husband together on the picture, and that's where I'll be.
All right.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So this is another episode of Love, Marriage, Fantasy. And again, Kayl, we absolutely appreciate you. Everyone, make sure that you go and do what you got to do, and that's hitting the subscribe button. We will talk to you all again in another episode.
All right. Yeah. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.